What is best way to avoid awkward silence in conversations? Ask a question. I had a situation at school this week where we had to bring someone in. My person bailed last minute, so I had to post online and find a stranger to come in with me. We provide a service that people would need or want. So I had this stranger come in and I don't know anything about him except his name. Anytime there was a long pause, I would just ask him about himself. What does he like to do? Had he done anything he was proud of during quarantine? How is he feeling with the shutdowns? How is his work affected? After learning where he works, just asking more questions about his work. With friends, I do the same. Ask follow-up questions to things they have said. There is always more that can be explained. Eventually they'll say something you can relate to or have something of your own to share. Do you read about things that are interesting to you? Ask them, have you heard? And then tell them about something you read or saw on the news. Do you like a certain show or video game? Do they? Most important, don't rapid-fire questions. Let them naturally connect. Use what they said to either comment or ask for more information. If you're jumping from question to unrelated question, it's going to come off really impersonal. At worst, it will seem like you're trying to control the conversation and avoid talking about yourself. Where do you go online to get strangers to come with you to your school? That sounds so bad. I hope you stayed out of his van, at least. It won't be beauty, but the local beauty school here advertises for people to come for training. Maybe he is in barber training. Person shrugging, female sign. Here they have a rule too, that if your person bails and you can't get a replacement to sit the exam, you fail. Could be a school for dental hygienists. I know a few people that went through those programs and were always begging for people to come in and get worked on. There's a number of legitimate programs that it could be. My college used to advertise free dental work if we were willing to let students work on us. It took longer than normal and they only did basic stuff like cleanings, but it was all supervised, so nothing could really go terribly wrong, and for poor college students it was a great deal. Absolutely. If there's a dental school in your city, they always need people for the students to practice on. How else are they going to learn? I got 3 bridges and a crown along with the routine cleaning, x-rays, etc. It's a lot cheaper than retail, but still pricey for most of us nowadays, but they take forever to do the work, so you can space it out. They see you and work up a plan, and an instructor comes and checks everything they do at every step, so you probably get better work, because in the real world, there's nobody looking over the shoulder of regular dentists in the real world. Only problem is that you need to be available for a whole afternoon at least once a week. It's all about the open-ended questions too. Avoid questions that can be answered with yes/no or short phrases. What are your thoughts on fall of the Byzantine Empire and how would you have prevented it? Here we go again with the Byzantine Empire. Would it kill you to bring up the Ming Dynasty or the Aztecs once in a while? In college, I had a professor that would play music quietly when we had to form groups with new people. This way, when no one was talking, it didn't feel like awkward silence. I would recommend this to anyone that has a group of people that are meeting for the first time. My bio professor does the same thing when he makes polls during online class. Only problem is that he plays the music out of his phone into his PC's mic, which means that when we hear it, it sounds more like a demon shrieking in agony to the tune of bossa nova. Demon shrieking in agony to the tune of bossa nova. Pretty sure that's just a black metal subgenre. I need that Spotify playlist, please. Latin jazz for satanic thoughts. I wish this was a thing. Like a more upbeat Bohr und der Club of Gore. I guess pig kind of fits the bill? I read bio professor and somehow managed to think so is / her real professor, not a step professor or a foster professor. What are you doing, step pro? I'm going back to bed after that one. Has anyone told him? The person who told him would have to sit in awkward silence while he reacts to this new bit of information. This is why we always have background music playing at parties. That's a nice coat. New shoes? You talking about these? Thanks, I got it at JCPenney. Any big plans for the weekend? The old barber special. Thursday to Friday, any plans for the weekend? Saturday to Sunday, how's your weekend going? Monday to Tuesday, how was your weekend? F. Just say it is Wednesday, my dudes. Screaming usually works for me. It fills in the rest of the conversation, because they soon leave. Edit, wow. First gold. And it was for this. Hump day. Hey, why is that guy loading a shotgun? You're not actually supposed to hump them, don't ask me how I know. It's not hump day unless you're getting jumped. I meant humped, but I'm leaving it. How is your midweek going? It is the furthest point from the weekend, which means it is the furthest point from happiness. The image of stony-faced walking up to someone, fixing them with your dead eyes and announcing, without warning or context, it is the furthest point from the weekend, which means it is the furthest point from happiness, and then walking off has absolutely slayed me. So, how's your week going? I remember I had a brain fart once and asked someone if they had a good weekend and she replied it's Wednesday. And I was like, so yes? No? Question still stands, smiley face. LOL, I should screenshot this. I'm guilty of asking, how was your weekend? After a Tuesday and just internally cringe before I even finish my question. Why cringe? I'd rather talk about what I did on my days off rather than talk about work. Wouldn't you? Totally agree. This only really happens to me at work, and the part that makes me cringe is because I most likely ask that person already on Monday or Tuesday, weary face. Any big plans for the weekend? Nope. I love when I can just relax on the weekends. You watching any TV? Or reading any books? Or doing anything other than staring at a wall? Nope. No crap, I had a dude tell me he just stares at the wall. I asked if he played any games, watched anything, read, etc. No. I just stare at the wall. Cool. So you killed anyone lately? Yes, a delight fuel couple from Modesto just last week, thanks for asking. They're from Modesto, so you put them out of their misery. Define lately. You should suggest that they try painting that wall. And then they could at least watch paint dry while staring at the wall. There's a non-zero chance he was totally just effing with you. Some people just don't like small talk. In the blank wall I see everything and nothing. It's not quite eggshell white, but I just can't place my finger on it. I'd unironically have a conversation with someone about figuring out his or her wall color. Topics to consider: my amazement at the variations of white, my amazement in that I can tell the difference if I see them side by side. Ask if they've ever gotten a bunch of those paint swatches and held it up to the wall to see if they can figure it out, eventually decide that's too hard and just repaint the room eggshell white and be done with it. I use this one way too often. It used to work a lot better before COVID when people actually did things on the weekend. So, as a server, are any big plans for later? Moment happens when you are standing there awkwardly while they are using the money machine dealio. After COVID, nobody goes anywhere but home to watch movies, etc. So I was asking people a common phrase, but I found out through Reddit that I was not asking them what I thought I was asking them. Yes. I was asking people if they were going to go home and F when I thought asking them if going home to Netflix and chill was literally chilling with Netflix. God knows how many people I asked that to. Edit. Grammaire/word. Hey, Jenny. You going to Netflix and chill tonight? What do you mean I need to see the manager? And you started to exaggerate your weekend plans, so you don't sound like a total loser. Oh, I think I'll go see my pie lady. She makes the best pies in London. See the barber, be the pie. No. My dad says, well, time to say well again. Right gets up. I'm stealing this. I'm stealing the dad. Let your man know that Mr. Steal Your Dad is back. Hide your dad, hide your granddad, they be stealing everybody out here. Is your dad Isaac Brock? Look into the distance like you're a sailor contemplating something. And go This is what I do all the time. Not sure if you are serious or not, but I do this because I'm naturally caught up in my thoughts about some stupid crap and don't mind being in the company of someone. If a natural silence comes, I will use it to reflect on the conversation we have just had or any mental tangents. But yes, very pensive pirate is my style. Yaha da ti da. Stare into their eyes without blinking, they'll quickly fill in any gaps in the conversation. Strong eye contact is key. If anything, they'll continue the conversation with "Dude, why are you staring at me like that?" Say nothing. Continue to stare. As an introvert, I'm not even sure if you're being serious or not. Give it a try. Let us know how it goes. This approach, as long as it's not overtly weird and illegal, is the way to go about any social interaction. Fear of rejection causes far more pain than rejection itself. Until you match with someone of equal power. And then it turns into ocular domination. Whoever looks away loses, and whoever loses has to give up their wife for procreation. Don't worry though, most people look away after a couple of seconds. But eventually you'll find someone worthy. It will be an intense and exhilarating experience, and if you win, you walk away with a gained level of self-confidence. The trick I have learned as a lifelong introvert is that people love talking about themselves. For example, if they said they come from city X or country Y, you can ask them if they love living there, and if yes, what do they prefer? If not, why not, or where would they prefer living? If you can find their passion, whether it's binge-watching Netflix series, making tiny glass vases for their hamsters, or going to country music festivals, you'll be golden. Even if it's not something that you yourself find interesting, you can fake it by making appropriate comments and asking follow-up questions. How did you get into that? What's your favorite series/technique/artist? What's your next project? Remember, this is about learning about them, not coming up with the most savvy reply, so actually listen to what they say. Alternatively, an awkward silence can be a great point to cut the conversation short and leave, if that's what you want to do. The problem is people who don't love talking about themselves. People who do are already extroverted and likely won't have awkward silences. But when you meet someone who doesn't like talking about himself or herself, it's hard to find common ground. You're basically shooting in the dark to find common ground. With those people, I've often found that some kind of weird hypothetical discussion will get them started. Hey, so odd question, my friend and I had this debate a while back. Who would win in a fight between a shark and a bear? Keep the hypothetical kind of vague by design, so they will ask follow-up questions. This specific one has gotten me involved in a number of long conversations. Once you get someone talking, it tends to branch out. I don't mind talking about myself, but it's not great. I would give talking about myself a 5/10 on conversation topics. Hypotheticals like what you mentioned. 9/10 easily. Right. I personally feel pretty boring, so I hate talking about myself. I would much rather have a discussion about what life would be like if the sky was filled with whales instead of clouds. A favorite from a friend: every food can be classified into soup, salad, or sandwich. Discuss. We're still arguing about these 2 years later. This is the answer. Learn to be within the silence. You could also spend some time thinking on why it makes you uncomfortable. 8 of the deleted comment is posted by a few commenters further down. You don't. Silence is a natural part of most conversations because people sometimes need time to collect their thoughts. It's only awkward if you make it out to be. One of my closest friends once told me that you're not close to someone unless you can sit in silence together and be comfortable with it. I always find it tiring when you're with someone and they keep talking just so it's not silent. Embrace that crap. He told you that to cut through the awkward silence between you two. People say I make them uncomfortable when I just sit and stare at them. Then maybe alternate between eye contact and listening while zoning out to the middle distance. Do I look at both eyes at the same time or switch every 30 seconds? A mix of both and sometimes the spot between. It's a kind of subtle facial scan focused on the eyes that lets you see them, their facial expression, etc. For those who may have issue with this, such as some on the autism spectrum, you can also watch movies/shows and notice how their eyes move. Knew a guy on spectrum who got really good at reading cues, etc. because he wanted to understand and be able to blend in. None of it came naturally to him, so he had to learn from scratch. Quite impressive. Admitted he was a pretty weird kid growing up, but he was the go-to relationship advisor for all his friends in college, because he had learned why people acted different ways. Westworld level behavioral analytics. What's interesting is that this is something women on the spectrum do, and they call it masking. I feel a bit dumb not considering guys would do this too. I find that staring at their eyes then their boobs will trigger a conversation. Interesting. I rotate counterclockwise. I go left eye, left tit, right eye. You must live in the northern hemisphere. The Coriolis effect. Coriolis effect. I kind of feel the same way, but I don't sit and stare at people. It's just that whenever I look people directly in the eye, they tend to look away, and that makes me feel like a weirdo laughing my butt off. I thought it was supposed to be respecte fuel to maintain eye contact. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.